Ho, 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 hello, and welcome to the festive edition of the Culture Swally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and pop culture. My name is Nicky, and I'm joined, as always, by the man who has just been lying in the bath listening to Ultravox. It's Greg. How are you today, Greg? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I can see you got all your decorations up in the background there.
Yeah, I've got no decorations up at all. No, I mean, we're recording this. It's the 2nd of December we're recording this. But no, it's still far too early. I don't think I'll be putting up any Christmas decorations this year, to be honest. What about you? Is your tree up?
Yes, it's up. I was away all week. So my daughter's birthday is late November. So the sort of rule has always been, we don't really talk about Christmas until her birthday's been and, we celebrated her birthday.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I was away for a week last week. I came back yesterday morning and I came into an empty house to find the Christmas tree up, decorations up in the living room and everything, and some presents under the tree. So it's Christmas is well and truly kicked off in the Hurst household.
Was there anything for you under the tree?
There is. My daughter, I think my daughter's bought me a pair of trainers.
Oh.
I think. Yeah, because I bought myself a pair of trainers last week and I got a bit of a hard time off my wife. I was like, well, fuck it, buy myself a pair of trainers if I want. And she was like, yeah, but Christmas is coming, blah, blah, blah. And then I saw under the tree, there's a sort of shoebox shaped gift with my name on it. So yeah. So there's something there for me, but yeah, that's it. Just
be funny if it was just something else packaged in a shoebox. That would be good. Yeah, I would like that. Well, we'll look forward to finding that out after Christmas next year and see what was in that shoebox.
Yep.
But yeah, everything else good with you?
Yeah, everything's good. Obviously, sad news yesterday. We heard about John Byrne passing away.
Yeah.
Especially since we just did Slab Boys so recently. But he was 83, good age, considering I think he smoked his entire life. And leaves behind a fairly unique legacy and body of work. So, well, hopefully there'll be some nice tributes over the next week or two on the Scottish TV or maybe even the British TV.
Yeah, I was hugely saddened when I read that yesterday, as you say, especially because we just did the Slab Boys a couple of episodes ago, so it felt quite poignant. But it was very sad news and an absolute trailblazer and such a creative force. A huge sad loss.
Indeed, but we can look forward to maybe we'll cover Tutti Frutti earlier in the year as a bit of a tribute to the great man. Yeah,
I think that would be very fitting. Indeed. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, well, shall we have a look at what's been happening in Scotland over the last couple of weeks?
Cue the jingle.
Hello, this is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation. And here is what's been going on in the news.
Okay, Greg, what have you seen in the news over the last couple of weeks that has caught your eye and you want to share with me and our lovely listeners?
Well, we're always a wee bit wary about doing stories that involve the old firm. Want to alienate any of the ardent supporters. But I saw this one and I thought I just had to do it. So it's from the 29th of November. It's the day after Celtic crashed out of the Champions League. I'm just reading what's in the article here. This is the Sun's words, not mine. After losing to Lazio. And the TNT Sports presenter who covered the game wasn't pulling any punches. This is Reshman Chowdhury. She's TNT's host on their football programme. Lazio beat Celtic 2-0 the other night there. She was joined by Neil Lennon doing his football pundit. So obviously this means that there's no European football for the Hoops after Christmas. The club's gone. It's the first time a British club has gone 15 matches without a win in the Champions League. Just a little statistic there. The match was shown live on TNT Sports, and at the full-time whistle, things headed back to the studio with host Reshman Chowdhury and pundits Neil Lennon and Owen Hargreaves. And it's fair to say that presenter Chowdhury wasn't holding back as she delivered a brutal assessment of Celtic's European campaign. The host reeled off several disappointing statistics showing how the Hoops came to find themselves rock bottom of the group. She began, Celtic have managed just 1 point in 5 games, bottom of the group with a goal difference of 11. I mean, it really is the stuff nightmares are made of. I've got Neil Lennon and Owen Hargreaves alongside me. I mean, Neil, as a Celtic man, you still call them we? I mean, how devastating is it to go out in this manner? Lennon replied, the game was there for the taking. I thought Lazio were very passive and the game was there for Celtic, and somehow Celtic have managed to lose another big game. It's bitterly disappointing. That was the game they had to win, but once Immobile gets the first goal, the tie is over. It's disappointing because they are better than that. Choudhury then continued delivering the devastating numbers. She went on, they are better than that, but in Europe, it's proven not to be the case. They are now the first British side to have not won in 15 consecutive games in Europe. I mean, it's a devastating record, and for Brendan Rodgers as well. And after ex-Man United and England player Owen Hargreaves had commented on the bitterly disappointing statistics, the presenter came back with a damning verdict. She said, looking at the bigger picture going forward, it's another season where they're not in the knockout stages and they're not going to be in the Europa League either. It's a damning indictment of Scottish football and where it is at the moment, and it's fair to say that that damning view brought around a rather awkward response. Lennon could be seen looking toward the floor with a somewhat uncomfortable expression on his face as Owen Hargreaves shuffled around in his seat. There were 4 full seconds of absolute silence, which, as we know, 4 seconds might as well be 4 minutes on a broadcast. Before Choudhury then added, or is it? Hargreaves eventually broke the silence by replying, ish. Issuing a defence of Scottish football, the former Bayern Munich midfielder added, if you look at Rangers a couple of years ago, they went on a brilliant run. If you get it right, you can have success, but you have to get momentum. I think Brendan will look back and see that they have made mistakes. Lennon apparently had nothing else to add. So it's not often that you see Neil Lennon lost for words, apart from that video taken last Christmas when he was absolutely hammered at Parkhead and giving everybody abuse.
I threw a pie at Neil Lennon once. It didn't hit him. Oh. Yeah, Pataudry. It didn't hit him, thankfully, because I would have been thrown out probably. But I think it was just at the start of the second half, obviously an Aberdeen Celtic game. And I was in South Stand, maybe about 5-6 rows from the front, and they scored. I think it was him that scored. And he basically came and celebrated right in front of us. So I just fucking launched my pie at him. Landed on the pitch, but just a few feet away from him. But right. It was a shame. And then I was sad because I'd lost my pie.
Lost your pie.
But yeah, would have been worth it if it just fucking hit him right in the face.
Did he not pick it up and tuck it into the waistband of his shorts to have it later on?
No, he didn't, unfortunately. A very divisive character, Neil Lennon. I mean, he's a kind of a Scottish football legend, really, because, he's part of that Celtic team. But yeah, very divisive character and very temperamental character as well. I know a lot of Aberdeen fans have maybe said, like, if we needed a new manager, Neil Lennon, but I wouldn't touch him with a fucking barge pole.
You wouldn't?
No. He's too problematic, I think. Yeah. He's got a bit of an attitude, and in the past, obviously, he's left jobs because there's been maybe a bit of animosity or a bit of grievances with his employers. So I don't think he's the easiest person to get along with. So no, I wouldn't touch him. But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong in him referring to Celtic as we, because he spent so long there, and I think he's got an affinity with the club.
Well, it's his boyhood club as well, I think, isn't it? I think he grew up in Northern Ireland supporting Celtic. So I
don't see anything wrong with that, to be fair. You often see a lot of ex-players, I mean, it's a wrong maybe assumption, but like Gary Neville, for example, he always refers to Man U as we, but I mean, he spent his whole career there, so that's different, you could potentially say. But I don't see anything wrong with that per se.
I don't either. I think she's sort of set him up to defend his club, and she obviously was. I think she was really hoping to maybe get a little bit of that Lennon passion, by throwing all those stats at him. But maybe his agents had the word and said, "Look, this TV gig can be an earner. Just got to keep your patience." Yeah. Like Alan Hansen managed 25 years when he retired. But I've met Neil Lennon more than once. I met him when I worked for a restaurant company in Scotland. We bought some advertising space at Parkhead, and we got an invite to a bit of a corporate thing one night, and it was friendly enough. You know what I mean? I wasn't talking to him for ages. It was very much a 30-second, hi, how do you do? Blah, 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 and that was it. But he seemed all right. You know?
Was he pissed?
Not at that point, but I just as I was leaving, I could see he was having a laugh with somebody at the bar, and it was definitely the laugh of somebody who's perhaps imbibed a few too many, you know? Anyway. Yep, so no luck Celtic. There's always next year. It's always next season, you know? That's what they say, isn't it?
Yeah. Better luck next season.
You could just let you concentrate on the 1.5 horse race that is the Scottish Premiership.
Exactly. They can focus all their attention on that, so they don't need to worry about that. And obviously, they're out of the League Cup, so they could focus on the Scottish Cup as well.
Indeed. Anyway, that's old Neil getting a bit of a roasting on TNT. What's your first story this week?
My first story, Greg, is from the Scottish Sun this week, and the headline is "There for You." Now, I can't remember if we've covered this girl before, or if we've just maybe mentioned her before we recorded as one of the articles, but I've got a funny feeling we have covered this girl before. But anyway, this is a Scots nail technician who has paid a very permanent tribute to late Friends star Matthew Perry after getting a tattoo of the cast. Nicky Hardy, 37, from Aberdeen, holds the Guinness World Record for having the most inkings of rapper Eminem. Does that ring a bell? Have we covered that before?
I think I don't know if maybe we spoke about it off air, so to speak. But yeah, it does ring a bell for sure.
It's maybe one of the stories that didn't make the grade, one episode. But anyway, but as well as her love for the real Slim Shady, the mum of one is a massive fan of the iconic US sitcom. She got the artwork on her thigh after Perry, who shot to fame as Chandler Bing, died aged 54 last month. Nikki said, "I've been watching since before I became an Eminem fan. Lol. And I can't go to sleep without it on. So it's a real comfort for me. I was truly gutted about Matthew Perry, so that's what made me get it." Nikki was crowned for having 23 tattoos of Eminem in 2020. And now has more than 30 of them. She took things one step further last year when she got married in Detroit, Eminem's home city, and said her vows in the first venue he ever played, visited his restaurant, and even got a tribute tattoo before getting photos in front of a mural to the lyricist. Nikki, whose hubby Chris is also a fan, well, I guess you'd have to be, because if your wife has 30 Eminem tattoos, you're going to have to kind of be a fan. Nikki, whose hubby Chris is a fan too, said, "We got married in Detroit at St Andrew's Hall where Eminem first performed. We got wedding photos at the D12 mural, and then we went to Mom's Spaghetti and got our tattoos. Chris is a huge fan too. He's amazing at learning the lyrics, whereas I'm terrible." But you could just read the tattoos you got, the lyrics you've got tattooed on you, I guess. "We both got matching Detroit Ds and 313s. He has no other Eminem tattoos, but plans to get some more." Nikki required 2 tattoo artists and a dermatologist to verify the number of Eminem tattoos she had in order to officially be handed the world record. Away from her nail business, eat, sleep, polish, she still has one dream left before her Eminem quest is complete. She added, "He does know of me. I know that for a fact. I'd like to think he'd think it's cool, but who knows? And it's my ultimate dream to meet him, have him sign me, and get that tattooed." So that is the Eminem fan who got a Matthew Perry Friends tattoo to commemorate. I guess that's taken up large space, that there could be another Eminem tattoo there, but she's decided to go with Matthew Perry. So yeah, in terms of like a TV show, would you ever get a TV show tattoo?
No.
You've got one already, haven't you?
No, I don't. I don't know. All I could think about when you were reading the article there was, could she have any more Eminem tattoos?
What do you mean you don't have a TV show tattoo? You've got one on your fucking arm.
Oh yeah, I do. I've got the Saint. Yeah, yeah, but this. Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose, but. I think The Saint was a series of books before it was a TV show. Okay, so that's the excuse. So it's a literary tattoo rather than a TV show tattoo that you're trying to say there. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Do you know Robbie Williams I watched the Robbie Williams documentary on Netflix a couple of weeks ago. It's actually quite good. And he's got the Saint logo tattooed on his back.
Ah, okay. Oh, wow. There you go. You're in good company there.
Good company.
You're just like... Just like Robbie Williams. Yeah.
It's such a weird documentary because literally nobody else is interviewed on it apart from him. And then the last episode, like his wife gets to speak a little bit. Like they don't interview any of the Take That guys or any of the guys that he worked with over the years, which maybe says quite a lot, perhaps.
Okay. Is there anything that you love enough that you would get over 30 tattoos of?
I don't think so because... I mean, I've got 4 tattoos. I'll probably, if I didn't live in Dubai, I'd probably have more than 4 by now. And I'll definitely have more tattoos as I age. But the thing about tattoos, and I don't give a fuck what anybody says, they're sore. Right? They're sore. You know, depending on where you get them, they can be really sore and not as painful. But ultimately, they hurt. My wife got a tattoo when we were back in Glasgow in the summer, and she reckons that it didn't hurt at all, and she nodded off in the tattoo seat. But she's like, I don't know what the fuss is about. It's not sore. It was on her forearm.
I think it depends. I guess it depends on the artist and maybe the tattoo. Because I got a new tattoo about a month ago, and it didn't hurt. Like, genuinely didn't hurt. Whereas, and the woman was asking me, like, how's the pain? And I was like, it's fine. It's okay. Yeah. So it's funny because I'm the same. I've got 4 tattoos as well. And I was like, the one I have on my other upper arm, I was like, that nipped a little bit, but not too much. I was like, whereas the one I got on my forearm, which is a small tattoo that we got when you got your saint tattoo, I was like, that hurt like fuck. And she looked at it and she went, yeah, I can tell that hurt. She's like, he's gone really deep. She said, it's a good tattoo. It's fine. But she says, it's what we call a braille tattoo. Like, if you run your finger over it, you can read it.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, it was strange. That hurt. And she went, yeah, I can tell it hurt. It looks like it. She said, I've got a couple that are like that. She said, there's nothing wrong with it. It'll be fine. But he's gone in a bit deep there. So, I guess it depends on the artist, I suppose, in terms of the pain threshold.
Yeah. But yeah,
anyway, so
it's a bit weird that. I mean, the other thing that's weird about what she said there, she can't fall asleep unless Friends is playing in the background.
Yeah.
That just sounds torturous.
There's a lot of people like that, though, that listen to podcasts or have something on in the background when they're going to sleep.
Yeah, but not. I mean, I sometimes do. I'll sometimes fall asleep listening to something, especially if I'm having problems sleeping. If if I've got a lot on my mind or whatever, and I want to sort of settle my mind down a bit, I'll listen to something and nod off. But the TV on, it fucking lights the room up.
Yeah, I do think that's a little bit problematic. I don't know if I agree with that. What do you listen to when you're trying to get to sleep? The Culture Swally?
No, because because the Culture Swally is so entertaining. It just keeps me, no, maybe like a wee bit of classical music or something like that I could just listen to that's sort of nice to hear in the background and diverting without being too stimulating,
Okay.
What about you?
Fair enough.
Are you like a sort of room has to be pitch dark, no sound? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Has to be pitch dark, has to be cold, and no sound.
Yeah.
I can't sleep in a warm room, or if there's any light, I can't sleep. Yeah. Or if there's any noise, I'm gone. I think I used to when I was younger. Maybe I would listen to music when I was, usually music, like if I was trying to go to sleep. But no, now it has to be complete silence, complete darkness, and then I can nod off.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm all right. I don't need it to be pitch dark. My wife does, and if she'll sleep with an eye mask on quite often, so it's like
okay,
yeah, it's ridiculous. Like the tiniest chink of light or the tiniest bit of noise will wake my wife up. I'm not easy to wake up. Sleep through almost anything.
Well, there you go, listeners. Now you know our sleeping habits and what we get up to. So good luck to the girl, and I hope she gets some more M&M tattoos, and her husband Chris gets some more M&M tattoos as well. Who knows, maybe he'll catch up with her eventually and steal her Guinness World Record.
That could be Love on the Rocks if he starts encroaching on her record-holding fame.
I just can't think of anything I would want 30 tattoos of. It's just insane, like, to be such a devoted M&M fan. I mean, what if something comes out about him and then she's branded for life with all those tattoos?
I know, exactly. I mean, look at all those people that had to get the Rolf Harris tattoos removed a few years ago.
That's not a bad idea for a tattoo, actually. Get a little Rolf tattooed on your shoulder or something.
It probably wasn't a bad idea for a tattoo about 20 years ago. I think these days you might struggle to find a tattoo artist willing to do a Rolf.
The only condition would be if they were tattooing it on you, they have to stop halfway through and say, "Can you tell what it is yet?" That's the.
Oh dear! I saw in Viz. You know, like Viz, they have the letters page, and somebody had written in saying about what's his name, the Nigel Farage. They were like, see, Nigel Farage was missed off the New Year's honours list again. Imagine knowing that the Queen thinks that you're more of a cunt than Jimmy Savile, Rolf Harris, and Stuart Hall.
Oh dear. Anyway, okay. What else have you seen this week, Greg?
So we have been in touch with this fella before, Dazza from Ayrshire, who appeared on Come Dine With Me, just deep fry and everything. He's become a bit of a sort of influencer, I suppose.
Yeah,
food influencer. So this comes from the Daily Record yesterday. Headline is Deep Fried Mars Bar made in Ayr's tempura restaurant launched into space after foodie Dazza makes world history. It's going to be remembered for sending a fried Mars bar into space. So a deep fried Mars bar has boldly gone where no deep-fried Mars bar has gone before. The infamous battered delicacy made in Ayrshire has been launched into space. Popular Ayr restaurant tempura fried off the gut-busting snack to be blasted into the sky after teaming up with top Scots foodie Dazza. The online funny man, known for his iconic Does It Fry video series, chose the chain, which boasts venues in Ayr, Prestwick and Kilmarnock for the Madcap Challenge. And their iconic batter was strong enough to withhold the 62-mile journey before crashing back to Earth at 200 miles an hour. Dazza shared the outcome of his epic stunt to his 343,000 followers on Facebook this morning. He's almost got as many as we do. The clip... The clip, which is chalked up 14,000 views, shows each step of the progress made. Dazza can first be spotted in Tempura in Ayr, where the owner, Brandon van Rensburg, real name, can be seen handing over the battered goods. The social media star then heads down to Sheffield to Sent into Space HQ, where a top team made his dream possible. Stunning clips then show the delicacy take flight attached to a balloon as it soared through the stratosphere before hitting space. The deep-fried Mars bar then floats in orbit before the balloon is released and it tumbles to the ground. Dazza and Brandon then race to Lincoln, where the deep-fried Mars bar crashes to the ground in a field. Speaking in his video, Dazza recalls the moment it ends up in space. The food vlogger said, "Trust me, I cannot believe my eyes either. I think I can comfortably say this has been the only deep-fried Mars bar in the history of the world that has been into space." When the Mars bar crash lands, Dazza then picks up the far-travelled tempura and takes a bite before scoring it 5 out of 5. Tempura shared a clip announcing we did it, boldly going where no tempura has gone before. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to say. This is
brilliant.
He had a dream of sending a deep-fried Mars bar into space, and he made it a reality.
It's fantastic. I do follow. I know we've featured Dazza before to the Come Dine With Me, but I do follow him on social media, and there's something I love watching his videos. I've loved him from the Does It Fridays, and now effectively a lot of his videos is he will order ridiculous things from takeaways and test them out and review them, or even just reviews. Like he has all this. A lot of his videos are, I've ordered a kebab from the lowest rated kebab place in Glasgow on Just Eat, and let's see what it is, and then he'll give it his review, and he's hilarious in terms of his content. I really do enjoy watching his videos. But this is just an amazing stunt, sending a deep fried Mars bar into space, and fucking good on you, Dazza. That's fantastic. Like, brilliant. That has to be the only time that's been done.
Oh, for sure. And I'm quite interested in the centre in Sheffield that basically just sends things into space.
Yeah. I wonder it must cost a fortune, though, to do that. It's not like you're just sending a deep fried Mars bar up in a hot air balloon or something. You're sending it into fucking space. Like, you'd be... Does Jeff Bezos want a deep fried Mars bar when he's up there or something?
I don't think anybody wants a deep fried Mars bar.
No, I definitely don't want a deep fried Mars bar. I can tell you that for now. No,
I've never tried one. I don't know how.
Neither have I. No, I've never had any confectionery deep fried. So no.
Yeah, I worked in a restaurant where we did deep fried ice cream, which was actually quite nice. It's like a process to it, like you've got to batter it and do it quite quickly, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was quite tasty. Sort of cinnamon kind of batter on the outside and the ice cream inside. That's quite tasty. But
that sounds lovely.
But yeah, I mean, whenever usually the only time I come into contact with deep fried Mars bars is when somebody's making like a fairly racist comment about where I'm from.
Yeah, we've covered that, I think, before on the Swally in terms of that does seem to be one of the go-tos of Scotland. If you're trying to give us abuse, it's either that we're tight or we all wear kilts and play bagpipes or we eat deep fried Mars bars all the time. But yeah, that is probably one of the worst.
Yeah, anyway. But yeah, that was a successful launch for Dazza there. I mean, we'll put a wee link to Dazza's socials in the description for the podcast, and you can go and see the video. Anyway, that's my next story. What's your next one this week?
I've got another food-based story, actually, Greg, and this is from the Gazette this week, and it's about a Renfrewshire hotel who have taken a controversial decision and banned mince pies from their menu. Exactly. The Glyn Hill Hotel and Spa in Renfrew will not serve mince pies at all this festive season after what it says have been years of low demand and high wastage. Those who visit the hotel over the festive period will instead be offered a host of other dessert options. It'll be the first time in the hotel's 53-year history that they will not serve the Christmas staple choice. Glyn Hill Hotel and Spa chief, Willie Miller, not that one, said, "Every year we buy them and serve them, and with a very few exceptions, we bin them, which feels like an awful waste. Not many people at all seem to like them, even less want them at the end of their meal, so it feels like a bit of a no-brainer to simply ban them this Christmas and focus on offering desserts and sweet treats, which our customers do want. We think we might be the first venue in Scotland to remove mince pies from the Christmas menus, but it's in line with customer feedback and will also mean a reduction in wastage, which can only be a good thing. Bye-bye mince pies, gone and forgotten." So, I don't agree with this. Mince pie is a fucking staple of Christmas. How can you ban them? Okay, I agree, wastage, but you don't bin them and you give them away or just get them homeless or leave them on the bar or something. But surely someone's going to eat them. And plus, mince pies, they not keep for fucking ages as well.
Well, I can tell you they do, and the reason I know they do is because, like, I like a mince. I'm not like a mince pie fanatic, but I look forward to having a couple of mince pies at Christmas. I like it when they come out. I like the smell and everything. It just, it gets me in the festive spirit. Having a wee mince pie. But when I went home in April this year to see my mother, and she obviously thinks that I'm absolutely mince pie daft, right? Don't ask me why. And my mum makes mince pies every year, so she had saved some for me in the freezer, and she defrosted them. So I could have some mince pies in April when I was back. So. Oh,
that's lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. I guess he's speaking about wastage, but I suppose if you have like a table of 6 people in dining, and then you put the mince pies on the table as kind of a offering with your coffee and stuff, and maybe only 3 of them have, so you're left with 3 mince pies. Legally, because they've been on a table, they've been served, are you allowed to then just stick them back in the fridge and give them out to the next people? Or
no?
Do they effectively have to be binned, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
So I can see what he's going. Yeah, I can see what he's going for there. I guess there probably is a lot of wastage.
To your earlier point, you could donate them. You could take them, to like a soup kitchen or a sort of place for people that are down in their luck. I'm sure they would appreciate them. But yeah, you can't sell them in case someone's had their tongue in them or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what Christmas parties can be like. Get a bit out of order, don't they? Sort of once a year bevy merchants. Never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I've seen American Pie. I know what can happen. You never know.
Yeah, this mince pie's like a bagel. What's happened? The thing is, my wife doesn't like mince pies, so
Controversial.
I know, yeah, she doesn't like them. But she doesn't like raisins or anything. It's not the taste, it's the texture.
Okay.
You know what else she doesn't like? She doesn't like meringue.
Oh, okay.
I love meringue. I mean, you can feel it dissolve in your teeth while you eat it. But
Yeah.
I love meringue. She didn't like it.
That's a Christmas staple. My niece makes... Well, my sister used to make the most amazing pavlova every Christmas. But then my niece has surpassed her, effectively.
Oh, really?
She now makes the most amazing pavlova. My niece also makes the most incredible... See, I'm not a dessert fan, and I don't really have like a sweet tooth as such, but there's one dessert, if it's on the menu somewhere, I will have it, and that's sticky toffee pudding.
Oh, yeah.
And my niece makes the best sticky toffee pudding I've ever tasted in my entire life.
Right.
So I take my hat off to her for that.
Yeah, I mean, I never order dessert. Though if I'm out, I never feel like having dessert. But if I'm out at someone's house and they offer dessert, I'll have it. And if it's like a laid on meal in a restaurant, like a function or a wedding or something, I'll have dessert. But like I wouldn't like order it for myself.
No, I'd be the same. I'd rather have a cheese board or something than a dessert. Don't want that. But yeah, I fucking love a cheese board. But anyway, well, you won't get any mince pies if you go to that hotel in Renfrewshire because they are off the menu this Christmas. So there you go.
Well, right enough.
Never mind. Okay, Greg. Have you seen anything else this week?
Well, I think it was the last episode I spoke about the guy who made a big profit on a kind of bit of Macallan marketing merchandising from the early 20th century. He's found the wooden display box. Well, this article is it's quite a good companion piece to that one. So the world's oldest whiskey, which was once sipped by a young Queen Victoria, allegedly, goes under the hammer. So bottles of whiskey thought to be the oldest in the world are attracting bids of thousands of pounds each from collectors after being discovered in a Scottish castle. Incredibly, the same batch was once sipped by a young Queen Victoria. The 24 dusty bottles were among a cachet of around 40. Don't know what happened to the other 16 then. A cachet of around 40 hidden behind a cellar door in the 750-year-old Blair Castle in Perthshire, the ancestral home of the Dukes of Atholl. Victoria enjoyed a dram while staying at the castle with her consort Prince Albert in 1844. According to a plaque found with the stash, the whiskey was distilled in 1833 and matured for 8 years before being bottled, making it the oldest vintage in existence. The bottles have gone on sale in the Perth-based Whiskey Auctioneers online sale, where they're expected to fetch over £250,000 each.
Wow.
Several of the bottles hit their £10,000 reserve price within hours of the sale opening on Friday evening, more than a week before the sale closes on Monday. So if you want to get a bid in, still got a couple of days, Nicky.
Magic. Thank you.
This is the remaining bottles of the remarkably well-preserved Scotch will be exhibited as part... this is what's happening to the other 16. They are going to be exhibited as part of the Blair Castle visitor experience. So there you go. If you want to see some old whiskey, I don't think you'll be invited to taste it, especially if bottles are going for £250,000 each. You may want to go and visit Blair Castle in 2024.
If you just tipped people off to do an angel share type heist, that
possibly
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. That's the only way I would ever be tasting a whiskey that's that expensive.
If you stole it and put it in an iron brew bottle.
Yeah, basically, yeah, exactly. That's an insane amount. It's incredible how much some whiskies go for. Just insane.
But I think there's something a bit sad about if you spend £250,000 on a bottle of whiskey, you're probably never going to open it.
No,
you know what I mean. And then maybe you'll leave it behind when you pass away, or you'll sell it on, make a bit of money off it. But it's only going to appreciate in value, one would assume. So it seems that it's a bit sad that it's never going to be tasted, I think.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's not like a work of art that you will buy that you can admire.
Yeah.
If you're buying the whiskey, you're just admiring the bottle.
Imagine having a party and somebody accidentally cracks open your £250,000 bottle.
Yeah, you're going to be hiding that away, aren't you, if you're having a party? You're not going to be leaving that out on the drinks trolley.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, for sure. It's going to be like under lock and key.
Yeah.
It's funny, when I was doing the social media for the last episode of the Culture Swally, which we covered the outlooking, which is still available. If you haven't downloaded it, go and download it and listen to it. It never occurred to me, because I'd always just assumed that James Cosmo wouldn't bother with social media, right? But for some reason, I thought, well, have a look. Maybe at least they might even have there's quite a lot of famous people have like fan pages, don't they, where people, So not only does he have an Instagram account, he's got 2 Instagram accounts. But the thing is, he's obviously started the first one. He's put a couple of pictures on there and then just left it years ago. And then at some point later on, he started another one and done exactly the same thing again. So I just put a few videos on there where he's talking to the camera and stuff, and then he's just forgotten about it clearly, or just lost his password or something.
Oh, good old Cosmo. Yeah. Oh, lovely. That's amazing. Well, you get double the Cosmo then. Well, I guess not. If you're following him, you probably only get one, because he's probably only posting on one nowadays. But
I don't think he'd posted for a long time. When I had a look there, like a really long time. But I was wondering if he might have a Christmas party. I was thinking about him because I was doing the social media and stuff for the episode, and we were calling him our patron saint of the podcast. And I was thinking, imagine him having like a party, and I just imagine that if he has a party, all those Scottish actors would be around. Gilly Gilchrist would come round, and Gary Lewis. Maybe they would probably send an invitation to Hollywood Butler, not really expecting him to turn up, you know what I mean? But send an invitation anyway. Imagine James kind of going around, make sure everybody's glasses are full, make sure everyone's got enough to eat.
Rab Affleck on the door.
Rab Affleck, yeah. I can imagine, Rab, you sit down. I imagine that Rab Affleck's probably racked with arthritis because he's such a fucking unit. You know what I mean? You're probably not allowed to mention Kevin Guthrie's name at all. I imagine that James being bitterly disappointed in Kevin Guthrie. He probably thought he was quite a nice kid when he met him on the set of Get Juked, and he's just really disappointed. Don't speak to me about that boy Guthrie. I can imagine him saying. Yeah.
I can just imagine Brian Pettifer looking around the buffet table, picking out what he's wanting to have. Speaking to everyone when he's there.
Yeah,
mouthful of sausage rolls.
A little framed picture of Jake Darcy in the mantelpiece there, maybe a wee candle beside it. Matt Costello doing the washing up, telling everybody about the time he was in Wonder Woman. I had to do an American accent in Wonder Woman. I was in the screen with Chris Pine for a couple of minutes. And then Cosmo would come in, only a couple of minutes. Did a whole fucking film with the boy.
What a fucking brilliant Christmas party that would be. That would be amazing.
I know. Imagine. I wonder if James has got some old whiskey that maybe he's got 1 or 2 favourites that he's like, here boys, come on, we'll go and nip out to the wee secret man cave that he's got, and he gets the good drams out and the good glasses just for a couple of his closest muckers,
Who do you think? I remember being at a party when I was about 13, 14. It was a house party. Girls' parents are away, and it was one of my first house parties I'd been to, actually. And they were all a little bit older, and there was a lot of alcohol involved there. And towards the end of the night, the one image I have is someone had unscrewed the bathroom door and was using it as a slide to go down the stairs. Who do you think's likely to be doing that at James Cosmo's party? And how battered are they going to get after Cosmo finds out they've unscrewed his bathroom door?
Imagine maybe sort of 10 years ago, somebody 10, 15 years ago, maybe someone like Martin Compston, he's just setting out in his career. He's still a bit young and maybe a wee bit naive, and he probably has a few drinks on his way there because he's maybe a wee bit nervous about being with all these old sort of Scottish journeyman actors, and just ends up making a cunt of himself. And I can imagine probably Cosmo didn't invite him back for a few years, and then maybe there's been a bit of an olive branch and Cosmo's seen him doing like mayflies or something like that and thought, all right, he's mature enough now, he can come back to the Cosmo Christmas party.
But William Ruane, who egged you on, is still banned.
Yeah,
he's not allowed back in.
Yeah, none of those River City cunts are coming. Apart from Eileen McCallum, she gets a pass.
She's
Eileen McCallum and
friend.
Stephen McCall.
Of course. Oh yeah. Well, Stephen McCall would be DJing probably.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, he would.
And And Gavin Mitchell, obviously, would be the barman, it goes without saying. So it's a fucking great party. I'd love to go to this party.
Yeah, me too. Gregor Fisher might be kind of cutting about, just maybe sipping a soda water. People try to get some of the younger crowd try to get him to do Ramsey Nesbitt. It's like, look, come on, just playing. I was just playing a character there. I'm not even a heavy drinker.
Yeah, James, if you're listening, can we get an invite to your 2024 Christmas party? Because it sounds fucking amazing. Can it please be just like we've described? Because it sounds like a phenomenal party that I really want to go to.
Yeah, I can imagine them having like a barbecue like in the summer, James. You know what I mean? But he's doing the cooking. Nobody else gets no one else gets near the barbecue apart from James. You know,
no one else is touching that barbecue. No, not at all. He's in charge. He's chief barbecue man. He's there with his barbecue, with his apron on. It says "Kiss the chef," and he's got his tongs, and he's. I mean, everything's fucking burnt, though, isn't it? Like Cosmo likes everything well done.
He does, yeah. No, and everyone's too scared to say anything to him, you know.
Those sausages are fucking burnt to fuck, but that's the way that Cosmo likes them. And there's no grilled onions or anything. It's just a fucking sausage in a bun. You can have some ketchup if you want. There's no American mustard. There's Coleman's, or horseradish, something strong, but there's none of this American sweet mustard shite in Cosmo's house. No, it's Coleman's mustard, ketchup, that's it.
He has a few cans of Tartan Special, so what happens later on is that a bit later on, all the burgers are like black on the outside and still a bit pink in the middle, that everyone's a wee bit, no one wants to kind of pull them up on it. You know?
No. Yeah. You don't pull up Cosmo. That's just something you don't want to do at all.
Especially when you're a guest in his garden. He's got his gnome. He's got his gnomes that he's been collecting for ages. Everyone knows, don't get pished and knock over a gnome. You won't get asked back.
No, Dave Anderson did that one year and he never got invited back.
Dave Anderson was over the fence.
Was on the blacklist. He was pished, trousers around his ankles, having a pish in the garden, knocked over one of the gnomes, and then had to flee the scene. Cosmo's chasing him with his tongs.
Yeah, he was like bustled out by Johnny Watson and Andy Gray before Cosmo spotted what happened. Put in the back of his XR3 and driven home by Mrs. Anderson.
We never speak of that day ever again. Poor Dave.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah, let's go to the barbecue. Okay. Right. I guess that wraps up the news for this week then, Greg. So before we go into what we're going to be talking about today, let's have a little word from our sponsors. And our sponsor is, of course, Doric Skateboards, a skateboard brand created by Gary Kemp, whose main focus is to explore the people and the culture of Aberdeen and the northeast of Scotland, and to create designs that reflect life in that area. Doric Skateboards screen print their own decks in their studio by Gary's fair hand, and they have produced some amazing designs over the years, including an Annie Lennox-inspired board, a Robert the Bruce deck, and a Plenty of Pop deck inspired by the old Bonaccord trucks that used to drive around Aberdeen delivering fizzy drinks. Doric Skateboards also replicate these amazing designs onto clothing, on 100% organic cotton tees, hoodies, sweatshirts, and you can also fill your boots on stickers, pin badges, beanies, and caps. Gary regularly collaborates with local artists to ensure that he brings the latest designs to the market, but always with a Doric twist, including the Ballater Toy Shop design, inspired by Scotland a What, which we actually need to cover quite soon, Greg. So get yourself a wonderful Christmas present, or a present for someone else, and check out Doric Skateboards for yourself on doricskateboards.com, and you can follow them on Instagram at Doric Skateboards to see all the amazing designs on offer. And we are delighted to be able to offer you 15% off as listeners to this podcast. All you need to do is head to doricskateboards.com, have a look at all the amazing decks, stickers, badges, hoodies and tees on offer, and enter the promo code SWALLY. That's SWALLY, same as the name of this podcast, and get your 15% off. And make sure you place your order by the 18th of December to ensure Christmas delivery. That's doricskateboards.com, link in the description of this episode. Okay, Greg, so it was your choice on the Swally this week. So why don't you tell us what we're going to be talking about today?
So ever since we've been doing the podcast, we've always sort of had a wee bit of I wouldn't say dread, but sort of this time of year we always want to find something seasonal. And whilst it's quite easy to find New Year's Eve related Scottish stuff. The Christmas stuff is a little harder. But I found a deep cut, shall say, which is set at Christmas and was broadcast at Christmas. So I've gone for the BBC's TV movie from 1992, The Bogie Man, starring Robbie Coltrane, a whole host of Swally favourites, Ron Donaghy, Jake Darcy, Craig Ferguson, Majur, Bill Murdoch, Gene Anderson.
I can't believe you haven't mentioned Freddie Bordley.
And Freddie Bordley. Sorry. Freddie, yeah. James Dean with the flu, Freddie Bordley. So yeah, it was first broadcast. I think it's only been broadcast maybe once. Not particularly well received. It would seem, by the BBC, BBC Two, December 1992. It was written by Paul Pender, Alan Grant, and John Wagner. Actually based on a comic written by Grant and Wagner, who some of our listeners may know are the guys who created Judge Dredd, our mutual friend's favourite. So. It tells a story of Francis Clooney, played by Robbie Coltrane, who is a psychiatric patient who takes on various different personalities, mainly Humphrey Bogart, hence the name The Bogie Man, but also Arnold Schwarzenegger, as well as himself and his escape from the mental hospital that he's in, and the adventure he goes on the streets of Glasgow, bringing down a crime gang whilst staying out of the hands of the police. So I had never ever seen this before. Had you seen it before? Did you watch it when it was on? No,
never. No, first time I'd seen it. So I was aware of it, but I think I was only aware of it because of doing research for things for the Swally in terms of what we could cover. But I'd never seen it, so this was my first viewing.
Yeah, me too. I'd never seen it. I mean, I was aware of it, and I don't know if it's just my memory playing tricks on me, but I seem to remember seeing it advertised when in the lead up to Christmas. I feel like it might have been part of. Remember, like the BBC. Well, I guess they still do. The BBC have their sort of Christmas trail, don't they? Like what's going on in EastEnders and Christmas specials and Noel's Christmas house party and all that sort of thing. And I feel like, as I say, my memory might be playing tricks on me, but I feel like I remember it being advertised in there. So I watched it for the podcast. What did you think?
I can't decide what I thought about this. It's quite entertaining, but also it's quite crap. In a way. It's not the best thing I've ever seen. I was a little bit bored by it. It's quite pun heavy.
Yeah.
There are a few really good jokes, and we'll come to those later. There are a few things that did make me laugh. But for a lot of it, I felt it was a little bit lackluster. I guess because it's based on a comic book, so it is very kind of noir set. But I don't know, it just felt like it was lacking something. As much as I absolutely love Robbie Coltrane, I don't know if he was the best fit for... Because in The Bogie Man, the comic book, Francis looks like Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah.
But Robbie Coltrane looks nothing like Humphrey Bogart.
No, he doesn't.
But I don't want to take anything away from his performance. He is very good and he's very funny. And there are some funny moments, but there's a lot of puns that just left me like, oh, really? Did they do that? Did they say that? That's really not funny. It's okay. I mean, it's only 59 minutes, so I didn't waste too much of my time, but it's not my favourite and I probably won't be watching it again. But it was entertaining enough. As I said, there was a couple of moments to make me laugh. Yeah. But what about yourself? What did you think?
Yeah, I think I'm more or less aligned. I thought that it was a good story. You know what I mean? Like I liked maybe the execution. It's maybe a wee bit clumsy. It was the thing that I didn't like about it was the kind of corniness of some of it. You know what I mean? Like when the landlady, Mrs. Napier, played by Gene Anderson, who is a great character, but she's got all these like stuffed cats around her house and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And the scene when they're cutting into the Christmas turkeys to try and find the loot. It was just a lot of sort of stuff that they looked like they were setting up that just either fell flat on its face or just sort of fizzled away. Like there's a moment in that scene when she gives Robbie Coltrane a hacksaw, or rather Francis a hacksaw, and he's cutting in, and she sort of ominously picks up this cleaver, and you think, is she going to attack him? You know what I mean? And
is
then,
she the mastermind of the happy gang?
Yeah. And they don't even sort of tease that. It's just all very kind of matter of fact. And it turns out she was just picking the cleaver up so she could cut into some turkeys with it. Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh. Yeah, I think if it wasn't for Robbie Coltrane, I think it would have been very difficult to watch, because you're right. You know, he looks nothing like Humphrey Bogart, but he's such a good comic actor that, you know, I think his first line is "Hasta la vista, Davy," and I just burst out.
Hasta la vista, Davy.
I just burst out laughing. You know what I mean? He's sort of mischievously running down the stairs, having just gubbed the guy with a chair, like faking his own death with a sex doll and a dressing gown. Because that was the thing as well. Like when it starts very ominously. You've got this ominous sort of gothic old hospital, and then the silhouette of someone hanging from the ceiling, and I was like, I thought this was supposed to be a comedy. You know, it's not until Davy the orderly comes and opens the cell and realises that it's a sex doll and he gets gubbed with a chair, and you're like, okay, that is a comedy, but remember, Greg, it's 1992, not 2022. It was okay to have a bit of fun with fake suicides back in 1992.
Well, there's quite a lot of things in this that you wouldn't get away with nowadays, which I'll come back to later. But yeah, I agree. The "Hasta la vista, Davy" is that, you know, it's his first line, and it's probably one of my favourite lines of the whole show. But the way he delivers it, I think the other part that made me laugh a lot involves him and Jean Alexander, Mrs. Napier, and when he says, "Can you get me a piece?"
Yeah,
of course, but you don't want to spoil your breakfast.
Hit that door.
A fat man's goons. I don't know how they found me.
What's going on?
Can you get me a piece?
Of course, but you don't want to spoil your breakfast.
What?
I can give you a piece on jam, a piece on marmalade, or a piece on butter. I bet a nice jelly piece would be your favourite. Am I right?
By now I had her pegged as a little crazy.
Yeah. The little sort of exchanges between those two are really good.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, it was good. So, as you said, this was written by John Wagner and Alan Grant. I was very familiar with Alan Grant because he wrote for DC Comics for quite a big time, and particularly Batman. And that was around the time I was reading Batman comics. So Alan Grant is a name I've known for many years. Like, he had a big part in the Shadow of the Bat series, and he was one of the main writers of the Nightfall saga, which is one of my favourite Batman storylines. And exactly as you said, Wagner created Judge Dredd, and Wagner and Grant then combined on the Judgment on Gotham graphic novel, which sees Judge Dredd and Batman go head to head, which I loved that graphic novel.
Yeah, it's really good.
So I was a big fan of that. It was based on a comic book, which was a 4-part comic book. And this show was initially broadcast December the 29th, 1992 on BBC Two. It didn't get great viewing figures, and it wasn't well received. And yeah, Wagner and Grant felt that the film was a huge disappointment due to the makers not granting them more influence. And Wagner actually said in an interview, here's a quote from him, "It showed just after Christmas, 92, opposite Gorillas in the Mist. So it went pretty well unnoticed. I used to have it on video, but I accidentally wiped it, and I didn't care. Robbie Coltrane in the lead, a BBC Two production, you'd think it would be good. It was muddled crap. To start with, they got a scriptwriter to adapt it who seemed intent on trying to resurrect a faded career by imposing himself all over our story. When he'd finished the story, it no longer made any sense. Just before filming was about to start, the director informed him that it wasn't funny anymore either. Could he make it funny again? So he went back over it and stuck much of our humour back in, unfortunately, in the wrong places." Then we come to Robbie. Now, I used to like the guy. He's got a lot of presence, he's a good actor, and I understand now that playing Bogart is one of his big fantasies. So why, oh why, didn't he play the part properly? He did it tongue-in-cheek, as if Bogie realises that he's a loon, which is very much not the case. Bogie believes in himself 100% and then some. The result was the whole production didn't work and didn't do Bogie justice.
So fairly damning review there by those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this probably... What this reminded me of, do you remember the comic strip with
Yes.
Rick Mayo? And Robbie Coltrane is in a couple of the comic strips. He's in one in particular called The Supergrass with Aid Edmondson and all those guys. And it felt a bit like an episode of the comic strip to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This sort of neat little hour. Just not as well... just not as well written as the comic strips were. I think it's, I think there's all the makings of like a great sort of movie or even like a great series. I think, the setup, someone who 100% thinks they're someone else and lives their life like that person. I can see why they'd be disappointed. I've never read the comic, but it sounds as though that's the way the character's portrayed in the comic. So I can see why they'd be disappointed, because Coltrane sort of flits between Bogie Francis, although he won't let anybody call him Francis at first, and not until the very end, and bizarrely Arnold Schwarzenegger at the beginning, in the first sort of 10-15 minutes of it. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty uneven, but I think there's still quite a lot of fun in it. Despite all that, it doesn't take itself very seriously.
No, it doesn't, and there's a lot of stuff that is quite fun and funny in it. There's a lot of stuff that nowadays would obviously be very offensive, because I don't think... I wrote down some of the mentions that Francis is described as, and he's obviously mentioned as a bampot, a loony, pure radio rental, and at the end, they say, don't deny him this credit just because he was daft at the time.
Yeah.
And it's quite undermining. They go to great pains to mention that he's schizophrenic and has these multiple personalities, and I just don't think you'd get away with that nowadays in terms of being able to call him a bampot, a loony, or pure radio rental.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Yeah, I think and I'm not sure that schizophrenia really is as it's described in this anyway. I think it's probably a bit more complex than
Just a little bit. I mean, the way that they kind of describe it is that he has these multiple personalities that he takes on, and that was the other line that made me laugh. Probably one of the three that made me laugh a lot, and it's when Dr. Branch is describing him, and that, he thinks he's Schwarzenegger, occasionally Cagney, sometimes Lacey.
Yeah.
Sean Connery twice, but mostly he thinks he's Humphrey Bogart. I did like that little Cagney, sometimes Lacey.
Yeah, that's the first. So Fiona Fullerton's like quite an accomplished actress. Like, she's a Bond girl.
Yeah, A View to a Kill. Yeah,
absolute knockout in this. She's gorgeous. She's beautiful woman. But she's sort of playing like the sort of straight character of it. But even then, and the sort of exchanges between her and the Detective Sergeant Ure, played by Craig Ferguson, was a lot of just like daft puns in there that just you like sort of blink and you'll miss them. Like he says when they were the first time they talk on the phone, and the detective says, "I'm Ure," and she says, "You're my what?" When I was thinking, really.
Yeah, and because obviously her name's Dr. Branch, and the one that got me was the when they're having drinks or dinner, and so your special branch. No, your special branch. I was like, oh Jesus, really? Did you go there? That's a bit too corny for my liking in terms of a joke. Yeah. It's not funny. It's no hasta la vista, Davy.
Definitely not. And the thing now, I like Craig Ferguson. I think it's funny. His stand-up is particularly funny. Sorry to say that he's not a very good actor. Well, not in this, at least.
I mean, Craig Ferguson's had quite an accomplished career. It was quite fun to watch him back when he was still on drugs and still, being old Craig Ferguson. But yeah, he's not the best actor, I would say. There was a film that he was in. What is the one when he plays the Scottish hairdresser that goes to that I'd thought about it, and I was like, oh, maybe we should do that in the Swally in the near future. The Big Tease.
Oh yeah.
Where he plays a Scottish hairdresser that goes to this show. It's kind of like a mockumentary. So that could be something that we do in the near future. But he had a hugely successful career, over the years. He popped up in a lot of stuff. And then, of course, he did over 2,000 episodes hosting The Late Late Show from 2005 to 2014 and was adored in the States.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's funny. Like, it's sort of like, I guess it's the same sort of road that James Corden's gone down. Because he was obviously quite famous in the UK, Corden, and then suddenly he's presenting. What is he? He does a Late Late Show, doesn't he, Corden?
He took over from Craig Ferguson. Yeah.
Yeah. I fucking hate him, James Corden.
I can't stand him.
But
cannot stand him.
But the thing about Craig Ferguson used to have a stand-up alias when he started called Bing Hitler. Because I remember my dad had a couple of his albums, and a really blue comedian, by the way, like sort of stag do kind of comedian. But I mean, I guess he probably, I'm sure he's not bothered about the comedy, but maybe the stage name these days. You know what I mean? Bing Hitler. I'm not sure that in this day and age that you get away with that. But yeah, I mean, actually, I didn't think he was great in this, to be honest. But then he's only doing what he's written,
He's a little bit wooden, I would say. I don't think he was the best in terms of his performance. I mean, I think we've said, the best kind of performance here is probably Coltrane, and it's kind of one of the first times we've featured him on the Swally, isn't it? I don't think we've done anything really with him. I know when he passed, we spoke about him a little bit on one of the episode just after he passed, but he's just such a commanding Scottish actor, and one that is kind of seems to have been around all the time. And I was trying to think back, and I think when I was a kid, I probably mostly knew him from the Tartan Special adverts.
Yeah.
And the young ones. And then, genuinely, the thing I probably think of most if someone mentions Robbie Coltrane is Nuns on the Run. Because that film had such an impact on me. I used to watch that film all the time and loved it. I watched it again a few years ago. It doesn't hold up very well. But it's
I'm so sorry to hear that.
That's probably one of the first things I would think of when I think of Robbie Coltrane. But of course, he went on to have an amazing career in terms of playing Fritz and Cracker, and he's well known for Tutti Frutti and stuff. Davey the bus driver from Still Game. But as we said when we spoke about him, he'll probably be known mostly as Hagrid.
I think so, yeah. I think obviously for the sort of generation after us, like that, and subsequent generations, 100% that he'll be known as Hagrid. I mean, for me, I think I remember seeing a bit of the first episode of Tutti Frutti when it was repeated, because it was repeated on, I think, only a couple of months after it was first broadcast, and I saw a bit of it one Saturday night. My mum made me turn it off. I think there'd been a bit of bad language or something, and I was only 9 or 10, so she made me turn it off. And the Tartan Special adverts, but I saw Nuns on the Run at the cinema. And I'd have been 11, and it was a 12. And the thing about Nuns on the Run for old 12-year-old Greg is that got a load of naked nuns in it having the shower after playing basketball. But that scene where he's sitting there. He's sitting there in the habit, and all hey, you're not going to have a shower, sister? And, oh no, he does that little soft Irish accent, doesn't he? And everything. No, I'll go in later. He's beautiful naked women walking around.
But that's, if I think of Nuns on the Run, that's probably, there's two scenes I think of, and one is Robbie Coltrane doing a slam dunk, in a basketball match. And the second one is exactly as you described, him sitting there doing this, lilty Irish accent as Sister Ophelia, and just this nun leaning over him to grab a towel, and her nipple is right in his face.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the amount of movies that he's done, like, he's even in Flash Gordon, although he's only credited as Man at Airfield. He's in National Lampoon's European Vacation as man in bathroom. But apart from like those, you've got The Pope Must Die, where he is the lead. It's his film. It's The Pope Must Die. That came out a year after Nuns on the Run. And then obviously he's got a couple of Bond films under his belt as Valentin Dmitriov Zhukovsky, doing like a fairly hammy Russian accent, but he fits really well in that first Pierce Brosnan Bond film. I think that character and him playing that character, I think he just he's just exactly where he needs to be, I think, in that film.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Yeah, he is brilliant in that.
But yeah, I mean, Ocean's 12. I know then obviously more latterly in his film career, it's been the Harry Potter franchise. How many Harry Potter
Yeah,
films
effectively.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 8 just 8 Harry Potter films.
Yeah, because they split the last one into 2, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
That was a trend for a while. I think they did that with Twilight as well, and The Hunger Games, so all those kind of young adult films. I mean, is Harry Potter young adult? Is it not more kids? But I don't know.
I think it sort of becomes a bit more young adult. I remember seeing a bit of, I don't know if it was the first part or the second part of the last story. It was on at Christmas one year when I was still living in the UK, and I thought, oh, because I had seen The Philosopher's Stone when they're all little kids, and that feels like a sort of little kids fantasy film. But I hadn't really seen any of the other. I have since seen, I've probably seen most of them because my wife's a big fan. But I might have even seen all of them. But I hadn't seen the last couple anyway, and that one of those ones was on at Christmas. I remember thinking, "Fucking hell, this is a bit like it's pretty hardcore."
Oh, is it? Does Emma Watson do hardcore in it?
No, she doesn't. You knew what I meant.
I won't be watching it then. I guess the other kind of main cast member is Ultravox lead singer Midure, who pops up as the main villain in this, just chewing the scenery. And his opening scene is him lying in the bath listening to Vienna, which is just wonderfully meta kind of. It's beautiful.
I mean, I suppose after Band-Aid, I guess Vienna is his opus, right? That's what he's going to be remembered for.
That was number 2 on the day I was born.
Was it
Vienna
really?
By Ultravox, yeah.
What was
Never
number
got
one?
to number 1. Shut Up a Your Face by Joe Dolce.
Well,
so that's what kept Ultravox off number 1.
yeah. I remember seeing something about that. It was quite sort of apocryphal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When I was born, number 1 was You're the One That I Want by John Travolta and what's her name? Olivia Newton-John. Yeah. So I was hoping for something cooler, but unfortunately, fucking You're the One That I Want.
But as you say, Midure, obviously famous for Band-Aid, famous for being an Ultravox, and famous for being the Bogie Man, Mr. Happy, in terms of the leader of the Happy
Fat
Gang
Man
in this. The Fat Man, of course, but he's not very fat.
He's lost a few pounds.
He certainly has. And he's only got a few scenes, but he's great in this. Like, he's chewing up the scenery, but he's pretty good.
He's not bad at all. I mean, I had a look at Midure's Wikipedia because I wanted to see if he had done any other acting. His Wikipedia page only has him act. It doesn't even mention him acting in the Bogie Man. There's like no mentions of any other parts. But on IMDb, he's what's he got on IMDb? Sing Street, it's all soundtrack stuff. Yeah, it's all soundtrack. Do you know he wrote the music for Metal Gear Solid 5, the video game?
I did not know that, but that is a wonderful fact that I will now know. Wow.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Who knew?
Is
that set at Christmas?
No, it does a cover of The Man Who Sold the World, the Bowie song.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So I know that because IMDb knows that. Oh, he's got an episode of Still Game, but he plays himself. But he's got 38 acting credits.
He is the big baddie in this in terms of the Mr. Happy, and he's the one that's kind of the leader of the Happy Gang that are stealing jewelry from the where was it from?
The safe deposit boxes
from the Argyle Arcade. And they robbed there, and he stuffed them in turkeys, and they leave the Glasgow Smiles Better stickers at the scene of the crime, which I thought was a nice little touch in terms of because that would have been around about the time. But he, towards the end, when he's facing off against Bogie, he delivers a great speech about how he wants to return to the old values where men were men and joined razor gangs and lived in closes and only the strong survived. The real Glasgow before all this culture crap. So, of course, this was around about the time of Glasgow, European City of Culture. And I thought that really spoke volumes of, I bet a lot of people felt that way, of I want Glasgow to go back to the way it was before all this fucking culture shite.
I remember it before all this fucking culture shite, and it was fucking shite. A lot. 1990 early 90s Glasgow was a far cry from early 80s Glasgow, like my first memories of the city. But I remember when all that was going on. I mean, it was quite a cool time, because they had like the Glasgow Garden Festival, and they had like a big concert in George Square, like the big day out and stuff like that. And it was good. It was cool. But I know that there would have been people that just didn't appreciate it. The irony is, I think Majur himself was probably quite invested in Glasgow becoming a European city of culture.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he's. I thought, I wasn't. The first scene in the bath when he's on the phone and he's listening to Ultravox, I was like, oh, come on, do you not get somebody better than Majur? But the later scenes he's good, and that final one, he's particularly good.
Yeah.
The one in the necropolis.
Yeah, I thought he was okay, actually. He came across as kind of the menacing villain, and you could tell where he was coming from, what his kind of purpose was, and yeah, no, I thought he was actually pretty good in this compared to a lot of the others. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's some Anya O'Connor, who plays Lauren. It's not exactly chewing the scenery. Now, as you alluded earlier, there's a whole host of other great Scottish actors in here that pop up in little bit scenes. So we have, Freddie Bordley, as I mentioned, Ron Donaghy, Jake Darcy. Now, Opera Joe that he meets is
Joe Pavarotti.
is credited as Moss Heights.
Yeah.
Now, that's Maurice Roves.
100% Maurice Roves.
Yeah, it's 100. As soon as I was like, it's Maurice Roves. And then when it credits, I'm like, Moss Heights. And when I looked on IMDb, it's Moss Heights' only credit. And I Googled Maurice Roves, Moss Heights. There's not any hits. So I don't understand why he didn't go as Maurice Roves. If it was just, I don't know, was it some sort of tax evasion scheme or something that he's gone as Moss Heights?
We could ask him at Cosmo's Christmas party next year.
Well, he's long gone, so I don't think we can.
We can ask Cosmo.
But I didn't understand that, why it's Moss Heights. Because I'm like, and it was driving me mental, because I'm like, that is Maurice Roves. It's 100% him.
Yeah, I know, it was weird. And it took me a second, because Maurice Roves is one of those actors who, I think he's good at almost making himself look a little bit different. So he still looks like Maurice Roves, but you know what I mean? They think of all the things that he's done that we've covered, and he is, he sort of physically he's different in all of them. So for a second I did think, who is that guy? He's really familiar. Then, by the scene when Francis gives him some money, that's when I realised who it was.
Hey, Joe. Go buy yourself a season ticket for the opera.
Why, Jimmy? Oh, you're a saint, so you are, Jimmy.
Jimmy, you could tell them 1,000,000 times your name was Bogie, and every guy in this town would still call you Jimmy.
And it's to your point, the only acting credit Moss Heights has is this film.
Yeah, because he almost, when he's initially speaking to him about the opera and stuff, like it almost is like he's shrunk down and he's got his hair brushed forward, he's got the beard and the glasses, so it's difficult to tell. It's not the Maurice Roves that we've seen in Beautiful Creatures or The Big Man or The Acid House, for example. He looks very different compared to how he normally was, and that's why I wondered if it was some sort of tax evasion that he is not credited as Maurice Roves in this and credited as Moss Heights, which seems quite strange.
Jake Darcy, by comparison, is unmistakable.
I mean, it's complete. It's his audition for Pete the Jakey, I guess. It's when he's asking the lady with a ladle for a winch. A small winch. Just a wee winch. Just a wee wincher. Now that is quite funny, I suppose, why when Bogie comes up, and why would she have a winch? She operating machinery.
Yeah, exactly. A powder. Are you one of the drug addicts?
Do you think this is the most obscure comic book adaptation ever?
I think it's if it's not, it's definitely pretty high on the list, right? Yeah. I mean, like, there's a lot of like a one-off kind of comic book stories, like Ghost Town, I think, was one that got made into a film, wasn't it, with Scarlett Johansson and what's her name?
God, what the hell is it?
It's got a right sort of Yorkshire second name, isn't she? Is she not related to like one of the actresses of Last of the Summer Wine? Like, it's like granny or something like that. Let me see. Ghost World. It is Thora Birch.
Thora Birch. Oh, is she genuinely related to...
I think she is. I think I read that somewhere.
Why? I was like, Birch, I'm thinking of Thora Hurd, who was in Last of the Summer Wine. Is that where you're getting confused as well? Or
it's possible. I'm just reading her. She was born in Los Angeles to Jack Birch and Carol Connors, who were both ex-pornographic film actors who appeared in Deep Throat.
Okay, so she's probably not related to Dame Thora Hurd then.
No, she's not. She's of German, Jewish, Scandinavian, French Canadian, and Italian ancestry. So there you go. Yeah, that was a bit of false news there from the Culture Swally, a bit of fake news about Thora Birch's connection to Last of the Summer Wine.
So I guess talk about the story. So Clooney escapes the mental hospital, Spin Binny mental home, and
Spin Binny
goes off to solve this crime, which, as Dr. Branch tells Detective Ure, that he will invent a crime in his head and will try and follow the clues. And that's exactly what he does. And he's obsessed with Humphrey Bogart, so it's the Maltese Falcon type thing. He's after the fat man. And he kind of stumbles upon the Happy Gang, who have been robbing jewellery and stuffing them in turkeys. And that is quite a good scene when he goes into the factory and he just grabs an empty Bell's bottle and pretends to be a Jakey.
Yeah.
But then breaks in effectively to the factory. And the guy that is chasing after him and attacking him, like, why doesn't he just open a door? He smashes through every door. And even the toilet later on when he smashes through, and Bogie does say, you really should learn to open doors. I'm like, what's the need for that? Like, that's not that amusing. But he's fucked himself by smashing through the doors.
Yeah, and he does have one of my favourite lines in this. After he's first assaulted by Clooney and thrown into the toilet, and you hear him shouting in the background, "It's Laldy time!" Yes.
One of my choices for archetypal Scottish moment is "It's Laldy time." Yeah, I love that. I thought that was good.
Chuckle.
Yeah, so they chase him. He ends up obviously back at the club, smashes a turkey through the window, through the back of the bar, and which leads to the face-off with Midure's character, McCurdy, in terms of the leader of the Happy Gang.
Yeah.
And then obviously that's kind of the climax of it. Yeah, there's not a huge amount of story in this either, is there?
Not really. I mean, there's a scene that is completely bizarre and pointless, but it still made me chuckle a bit. And it's the woman who thinks that she's Jimmy Cranky in the police station.
Yes. Oh, God, yes. Do you want me to show you? Yeah, that's... Yeah.
We take my clothes off and show you.
I did laugh at that as she's they're like escorting you out. No, we're just going to escort you out. She goes, okay, fan dabby dozy.
Look, let's get this straight. You're Jimmy Cranky. The Jimmy Cranky.
Aye, it's just the telly makes me look wee. Do you want me to take all my clothes off and give you a wee keep?
No thanks, Hen. I've just had my tea. Show her the door.
Oh, you can't lock me up. I'm a famous TV
Not
personality.
going to lock you up. We're just going to show you the door.
Bandabby dozy.
Yeah, what a random scene to put in. That's that.
And that the actor there playing sort of yours colleague who's interviewing her, and he's all in for that scene. Do you know what I mean? He's like, oh no, you're all right. I've just had my tea and everything, and a bit later on and stuff. You're like, well, he just feels a bit underused. He's this sort of well done but largely pointless scene where this movie thinks that she's Jimmy Cranky, and then we don't really see him again. Apart from the pub scene when he tells everybody to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we hear about Bogie's childhood, and it was obviously unhappy, as they say. His father was a heather beater. Unfortunately, Heather was his mother, which is a poor joke, but it was quite amusing. But yeah, obviously we don't condone any of that on the Culture Swally. But he's denied that his mum is dead, and that's why he effectively has this kind of disorder.
Yeah.
And it's not until the very final scene, he's climax in the graveyard, and he finds his mother's grave, and that almost cures him, effectively, they say. But then is he cured? Because he realises he's not getting any credit for what he's done.
Yeah.
And as he's being wheeled into the ambulance, he goes back into the
Bogie character.
The Bogie character. So is he cured or is he not? What do you think?
Well, I would say probably not, just based on that little moment. But I think, the backstory of his character is where it sort of comes undone, this, I think, as a production, because 99% of it is played for laughs. You know what I mean? By the daft puns, the sort of corniness and everything else. But yet, you've got that first scene at the beginning that we spoke about earlier where the audience is led to believe that somebody's hung themselves in their room. And then you've got this really sort of tragic backstory that you've mentioned involving cruel fathers and like the mother being beaten and then being murdered ultimately. And then, you've got his reaction to the song Nobody's Child. So,
of course, yeah.
When he has this reaction to Nobody's Child, even that's sort of done for laughs a bit. When he stood at the bar and Lauren's singing the song, and then you have that sort of funny scene between him and Freddie Bordley. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, I know that the sort of sensibilities have moved on, and kind of humour is maybe not as ruthless as it probably was back then, evidently. But putting that to one side, the sort of themes just don't tie together. And I think ultimately that's what lets the whole thing down,
Yeah, I agree. His backstory is maybe a little bit too dark compared to how he is, and as you say, the comedic kind of aspect that he has. So it does feel a little bit disjointed. Overall, I think this will amuse anyone that's fond of like a natural kind of quirkiness of the Scottish temperament and humour. It's by no means a masterpiece or anything, but it is funny in places and it is quite quirky. But I agree, you mentioned earlier, like I think it's too tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
Like they attempt to make like every other line a pun or like tip the wink, at each turn, and that it's just a bit tiring. And I know I mentioned it earlier, but it is like what sums it up for me is your special branch. No, your special branch. You're like, oh, really? Like, oh, come on. Like, and I know it was 1992, but it's just a lot of the jokes just fall really flat.
Yeah, I don't think that humour was really working anymore by then. It's sort of almost it's sort of reminiscent of even like we mentioned it earlier when we were talking about Robbie Coltrane's sort of filmography. But we think about the National Lampoon Vacation film with Chevy Chase. The humour's sort of similar. This sort of corniness, the sort of funny conversations and that kind of thing. But, I think it's compared to those films, this is a bit clumsy in how it's written. Like, those scenes are written. And I think as well, because we'll laugh at like Clark and Rusty sharing a beer in the desert or that kind of thing. Because it's, we know it's, or them leaving the dead granny on the porch and that kind of thing. We know that it's ridiculous. But it's in America, which is, at that time, America just seemed like an incredibly exotic, aspirational place, probably to people of our generation when we were growing up. It doesn't really work in a familiar setting, so it's Scotland. It's all filmed on location in Glasgow, and there's some great shots on the kind of West End, Byres Road, stuff like that, and the river and the bridges and things. But even if you're not familiar with Glasgow and you live in Scotland, it's Scotland. So it's just weird, that sort of corny, silly humour in a familiar environment. Just, I think it just sort of falls a bit flat for me. Personally, I can't speak for everybody.
I'd say that kind of corny humour works if you are doing like a sketch show like Scotch and Rye, for example.
Yeah.
You can have like a 10-second sketch that has that kind of line, and then you're already on to the next one. And you've laughed about it because you're already warmed up laughing at the previous few sketches with Ricky Fulton and Mark McManus or something else. You're already kind of warmed up, so you would kind of laugh at a joke like that in that scenario because it's 10 seconds and you're already moved on. Yeah. Whereas in this, you're like, oh, really? It's a little bit too much, I think. I would agree. Yeah.
And the thing with a sketch show as well is some sketches will really make you laugh and really tickle your funny bone and stuff. And some sketches won't, and they won't really land. But then, exactly as you said, in a few seconds' time, you're on to something else with a completely different setup, different characters. With this, it's a story. You know what I mean? It's all connected. You know, so you're with these characters for the full hour. So if they're not making you laugh early on, and the intention of this production is to make you laugh, which I assume it was. I would hope so. Anyway, because otherwise, there's some unintentionally funny moments. It can become a bit frustrating, especially if you turn up expecting to be amused by something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I would agree with you on that. Yeah, completely.
So, any more on the Bogie Man? Shall we put it through our festive Swally Awards?
Yeah, I don't really have much more on it, to be honest. I think we've kind of spoken about it as much as we can. Yeah, why not? Let's put it through our Swally Awards. What's up first then, Greg?
So the first award is the Bobby the Barman Award for our favourite pub in the production.
Hey, if Freddie Bordley is playing keyboards, I will go to McCurdy's bar anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Is there any other bars in there? In it?
No, I think that's the only one you see is the McCurdy's bar. So yeah, that's the only one, I think.
Next award then, the afore and often mentioned James Cosmo Award for being in everything Scottish. This is one that Cosmo turned down, evidently.
There's a few to choose from, but I went with Ron Donaghy.
I went with Jake Darcy, but I guess, Donaghy is they're both like right up there, aren't they?
I'd say they're probably on a par with each other. Either or could probably win it, yeah.
You got even, Moss Heights / Modest Groves, Bill Murdoch.
Yeah.
That's but I think just in terms of impact, I think those two are the two. Okay, next one then, the Jake McQuillan Your Tea-Zoot Award. What did you go for?
I went with, there's a few to choose from. Mm-hmm. There are a couple of moments, but I went with Clooney shooting McCurdy at the end. Because it felt like a little bit of a tea-zoot, because obviously McCurdy shot Clooney, and then it's kind of like a bang, hey, tea-zoot. But there's quite a few to choose from. Initially I did have Hasta La Vista Davy getting battered at the beginning, but what did you go for?
I went for Francis thumping Jake Darcy in the soup kitchen.
Okay, yeah.
It was ruined a bit by Annie O'Connor saying, "You've gubbed him," in a fairly unconvincing way. But yeah, I went for that. Next two awards. So there's usually it would be the Hugh McGregor Award for gratuitous nudity. I don't think there's anybody in this that you'd want to see naked apart from maybe Fiona Fullerton or McCurdy's wife, who answers the phone when he's in the bath.
Yes, I find her very attractive. Yes.
I wonder if the boy Mackenzie who directed The Outlaw King had directed it would have got to see Robbie Coltrane's cock at some point. Then the next award then is the Francis Begbie Award for gratuitous swearing. Not really any gratuitous swearing in this at all, is there?
There's not gratuitous. I think there's a bloody earlier on. Only what I had down for this, because it did make me laugh, is towards the end where they're in the graveyard, McCurdy and Clooney, and McCurdy shouts out, "Doogie, rap!" and the two goons come out, and Clooney turns and shoots both of them.
Yeah,
I don't know which one it is, if it's Doogie or Rab, but he shoots him, and as he's running off, he goes, "Ay, you bastard!"
Yeah,
I'm just like, you say that if you've stubbed your toe, or if you catch your fingernail, or you hit your finger with a hammer if you're putting up a picture or something. You don't say, "Ay, you bastard," if you've been shot.
Oh dear. Next one then, archetypal Scottish moment.
Oh, what did you go for this?
Well, because my mum was a nurse in various hospitals in Glasgow, I went for the pissed up staff Christmas party when they're all on duty, because it just I don't know if that's an archetypally Scottish NHS thing that I'm sure it doesn't happen anymore. Yeah. But it certainly happened in the early 80s.
That's fair enough.
What'd you go for?
There's something, and it's not particularly Scottish as such, but it's something that just seems very Scottish to me about porridge and kippers for breakfast.
The porridge, certainly.
Yeah, but the kippers probably not, but it does. I kind of associate it with Scotland, but I know it's not, because I did Google it. Is kippers a Scottish thing for breakfast? And it's not. It's quite popular in England and quite popular in the Netherlands as well. Mm-hmm. But just porridge and kippers just seemed for me, a bit Scottish. But other than that, this is Laldy time.
It's Laldy time.
One.
Yeah. And the last one then. So the Big Tam Award, who wins the production for you? It's only one choice, really.
Well, Robbie Coltrane, isn't it?
Yeah. Has to be. It's his vehicle in it. And he's so entertaining. Robbie Coltrane, he can do something like this, and then this is only like maybe 2 or 3 years before he did Cracker, which is like gritty, dark drama. But even in Cracker, especially those early episodes when Christopher Eccleston was still in it and all that, the storylines are fucking. I remember one, and it was like a mixed race or young black fella who he had been raping women, but he'd also tried to bleach his skin because he was so uncomfortable with his ethnicity. And and all the way through it, you've got Coltrane playing Cracker, who is really funny in a lot of the scenes. So and not like in a silly way. Like his humor sits, a lot of it's sort of gallows humor, but it sits really well in the sort of format of the show. But it's like the scene when he's interviewing Bobby Carlyle after he's been arrested, and he's just shouting Celtic at him. And Bobby Carlyle's he's playing a Scouser and he's singing this Liverpool chant. It fits Robbie Coltrane, and Robbie Coltrane just shouting Celtic back at him. It's fucking brilliant.
As you're well aware, I have just finished a rewatch of all 5 series of A Vida Zane Pet. And I'm genuinely, this afternoon I was thinking I'm going to settle down and start watching Minder from the very start. But I might watch Cracker instead, actually.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost 30 years old, Cracker, but it's still got a lot of heft. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was phenomenal in that. Absolutely phenomenal. But I think he has to win, definitely. Yep. So, that was the Bogie Man. Don't know if we recommend it, but we'll see.
I think it's only an hour out of your life. It's definitely interesting to watch. It's worth watching, I would say, but, just sort of take it for what it is. But the Bogie Man was my choice for this Christmas, our festive episode, which means you have the honour of selecting our New Year's Eve content for our Hogmanay show. So what are we watching in time for the next pod?
Well, Greg, our next episode, as you've just said, will be our Hogmanay episode. And over the years, we've covered Scotch and Rye, Two Doors Down, The Steamy, but there's another Scottish Hogmanay institution that we haven't covered yet. So this show ran from 1993 to 2020 and was on BBC One Scotland every Hogmanay over those years. I am, of course, talking about the fantastic Jonathan Watson show, Only an Excuse, all about Scottish football. But with over 27 years worth of episodes to cover, I thought we would just pick one to look at because there's too much content. Yeah. So I have picked the 1999 episode because I've watched quite a few of them on YouTube, and I'll be honest, this one was probably the best quality.
Right.
It also is long ago enough that we can have a little bit of nostalgia rather than do one from a few years ago. So I picked 1999. And it is available on YouTube for anyone that wants to watch it, to do your homework. So that's it. Next episode, 1999 episode of Only an Excuse.
Brilliant. Excellent.
Well, thank you very much for listening, everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas. And if you would like to get in touch with us, you can. You can email us on cultureswally@gmail.com. And if you want to follow us on the socials, you can. We're on Instagram @cultureswallypod. And we're also on X, formerly known as Twitter, @SwallyPod. And Greg, we have a wonderful website as well, don't we?
We do. You can find us at cultureswally.com. Links to all our socials and content about Scottish horror, movies, TV. Come and visit us there.
Wonderful. Right. Well, have a wonderful Christmas, Greg, because I know I'll speak to you because we're recording our new year episode before Christmas, so I'll speak to you before then. But have a wonderful Christmas.
Yeah, you too.
And I'll see you next time.
See you next time.
I want you to give yourself up. I want you to confess your crimes. I want you to make reparations to your victims, and I want you to stop poisoning this city.
And I want a return to the old values, Bogie. You know, when men were men and joined razor gangs and lived up closes, and only the strong survived. You know, the real Glasgow before all this culture crap.